can't believe that J.J. Abrams is directing the next Star Wars movie and perhaps the trilogy. What? Oh. Wrong video.
We'd gotten a taste of blood. Which blood?
Hello everybody, welcome to MaffmanJones Reviews. I am John Maffio, and today's featured review is the latest dark and gritty fairy tale in Hollywood land, and that is Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and it stars Jeremy Renner, Gemma Arterton, and Famke Janssen. Now, the fairy tale story that everybody knows and loves appears in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and the rest is that rhetorical question of what would happen after the fairy tale ends. And now Hansel and Gretel are like these superheroes, and they protect this town that they live in. And for as many witches as they have slayed in their lifetime, there is a new breed of witches in town, and they provoke a legitimate sense of danger that has never been before seen, and Hansel and Gretel must stop them because these witches may be connected to their past more than they know. There's no sympathetic or sweet way to say this, but I thought that Hansel and Gretel was going to be a terrible movie. It looked terrible. But going into this and watching it furthermore, I have to say it was terrible, but I actually had a sense of enjoyment and fulfillment from this movie. So let's get into the review. Discussing all the pros first, I thought that there was a real genuine sense of practical design. There was a lot of practicality in this movie. Between the main setting of the folkish town, the vast forests, and the households of the witches themselves, it just brought a sense of authenticity. I also really dug the atmosphere, and even though at some points it seems very bland, there are other moments where I feel like this could be a Disney movie if Disney movies didn't have blood, gore, guts, and F-bombs. Concerning the action, I'm actually kind of indecisive, but I did enjoy it for the most part. There are moments that actually bring a sense of satisfaction with the witch hunting and slaying. Just the overall fighting style and the way this dynamic duo takes down the witches was fun and intriguing to watch. The entirety of this movie is dark and gritty in tone, but as I said before, the opening of this movie is the legitimate fairy tale that everybody knows, and I found the opening very appealing. Either that, or I was just very easily manipulated by the architecture and the design of the original witch candy house, which was made of candy, because I was just watching that part where Hansel and Gretel entered the candy house, and I was just like, oh my god, there's so much candy! What can I say? I'm an 8-year-old at heart. And finally, there's a character in this movie, a larger-than-life character, literally a troll, and guess what? It's not CG. It's a legitimate giant puppet that has a mix of practical, mostly practical, and some CGI effects in the face. But it reminded me of characters like Station in Bill and Ted, Gizmo in Gremlins, and all these amazing 80s puppeteer characters, and just provoked a sense of 80s wonderment. And I'm like, oh my god, puppets! They still use puppets, and it's 2013. This is awesome. And now the cons. There are some incompetent actors in this movie, but I wouldn't blame the actual actors themselves for what came out on screen, because everybody just seemed bland, nonchalant, and just everybody seemed like they were playing themselves, except for Famke Janssen, and she seemed like she was an over-the-top Disney villain. It could rub the right way for certain people, but for me, I was just like, you're getting a paycheck right now. This movie was also very inconsistent in tone. At one point, I would think that they're trying to do this very cheesy, over-the-top, corny, tongue-in-cheek Sam Raimi type movie, and then the next moment, I'll think they're trying to be very serious and dark and gritty, as Hollywood likes to use those adjectives. And it just didn't mesh well. I can see what they were trying to do here, I think. They were trying to make a fun movie that had a dark and gritty element, but it just didn't work at all. And also, a lot of things are just left unexplained, or just left ambiguous, I guess, to the viewer. For example, Hansel and Gretel have these very advanced weapons, and one has to wonder while watching this, they're in like an 1800s setting. How did they get such advanced weaponry? Did they make it themselves, or did they get it from somebody who knows how to make them? Like, you never really find out. It's just like you're supposed to go with it, and I couldn't. It just took me out of the movie. To create an overall consensus, Hansel and Gretel is a mixed bag. There is some fun to be had, but for the most part, it's just very inconsistent. The acting is bland, and just for the most part, the movie is very forgettable. And it's a fun time if you're with friends, but I wouldn't recommend seeing it unless it's on TV a year from now. I'm going to give Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2 out of 5 stars. Whee! If you plan to see Hansel and Gretel Dark and Gritty, or you have already seen it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Also, please subscribe to MaffmanJones and like this video if you enjoyed this review. And check out We Live Film Facebook and Twitter accounts in the info box. Also, if you did indeed indulge in this inclined angle that I'm trying right now, let me know what you think about it down below. I'm like an 8-year-old kid who needs a new video game every week. I'm like, okay, well this angle's okay, well now I want to try this. I am John from MaffmanJones Reviews. Today was a historical day because J.J. Abrams was announced that he is directing Star Wars Episode 7. Wait, I saw a movie today? Oh. See you next time.
You gotta be kidding me.